Lakshmi table and Vishnu tables. Om Agaya Surasya Giranjana Salakaya Taksurvulitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Visham Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shiro Shri Yugabhaya Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shah Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vikam Sajivam Samaitam Savadutam Vrijanam Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Vam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vikam Shah Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Vidavana Vigavate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurani Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Bhava Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devata Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Guru Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Kunda Vihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Vihari. Jaya Kunda Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Vihari. 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 Jaya Kunda Vihari.
Now the reading of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 18.
text number 65. Manmanava Mabhato Majaji Mamnamaskru Mame Vaijisi Satyam Te Pratijani Priyosime. Yes, sure. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Prahladananda Swami Prabhupada. Always think of me, become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus will come to me without fail. I promise you this, because you are my very dear friend. Prabhu's purport. The most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and act for him. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. He should arrange his life in such a way that throughout the 24 hours a day, he cannot but think of Krishna. And the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in such pure Krishna consciousness will certainly return to the abode of... What's that? Anyone can take a guess? I can't hear you. Louder.
Krishna.
Yes, Krishna, good guess. Where he'll be engaged in the association of...
Krishna.
Who?
Krishna.
Krishna, yes. Another good guess. This most confidential part of knowledge is spoken to Arjuna because he is a dear friend of
Krishna.
Yes. You got all these right so far. Anyone who follows the path of Arjuna can become a dear friend to
Krishna.
and attain the same perfection as
Krishna.
That's Krishna. Guess again. Arjuna. One wrong. This word stressed that one should concentrate his mind upon
Krishna.
the very form with two hands called carrying a flute. The bluish boy with a beautiful face and peacock feathers in his hair. There are many descriptions of
Krishna.
found in the Brahma Samhita and other literatures. One should fix his mind on this original form of Godhead. Who?
Krishna.
Krishna. One should not even divert his attention to other forms of the Lord. The Lord has multi-forms as Vishnu, Narayan, Narama, Varaha, etc. But a devotee should concentrate his mind on the form that was present before Arjuna. Concentration on the mind on the form of
Krishna.
constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge, and this is disclosed to Arjuna because Arjuna is the most dear friend of
Krishna.
So what's the most used word? Which word is used the most in this purport?
Krishna.
And the second most used word? Arjuna. Manmarada madhapto majaji mamnamaskuru mamai vaishasi satyam te pratijani priyosime. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer a homage unto me. Thus will come to me without fail. I promise you this, because you are my very dear friend. Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prasthaya Vidaya Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Sarasvande Vine Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shrivadi Paschatya Deshakarne. I was reading in one of Prahladananda Swami's books, Vilapa Kusamanjali, that Radha and Krishna were glorifying each other, and they became so ecstatic they couldn't find the words to glorify each other anymore. So what did they say? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, that's the ultimate glorification of Radha and Krishna. And even they themselves, when they have nothing else to say, they say, Hare Krishna. If they have nothing else to spell, they say at least Hare Krishna. Because hearing the name of Krishna or hearing about Krishna is actually to associate directly with Krishna. Now Krishna is there and we're associating with him, but we'll only associate with him to the degree that we want to associate with him. So that desire to associate with Krishna, it takes some cultivation. And why would anyone want to associate with Krishna? Why would anyone want to associate with Krishna? Because Krishna's rich? Why do the devotees want to associate with Krishna? No one knows. That's one of the mysteries of why we're here.
To please him.
Trying to figure out why we're here. What's that?
To please him.
To please him. Well, that's quite noble. We don't. Why do we want to associate with Krishna?
Gives us pleasure to give him pleasure.
Because Krishna is a reservoir of pleasure. And we're trying to discover pleasure. In the material world, we experience some happiness, some pleasure, and it's usually mixed with distress and unhappiness. Or we're always afraid that in the future there may be some problem. But if Krishna is actually, to associate with him is pleasureful, then that's what we're looking for. Our nature is Ananda, Vyasa. Our nature is pleasure seeking, and if Krishna is the source of pleasure, then actually we want to associate with the source of pleasure. And Srimati Radharani, she's also the pleasure-giving potency, and Krishna is the pleasure. Well, she's the pleasure potency, and Krishna is the enjoyer of the pleasure potency. She's the bliss that waters the root, and when the root is watered, all the different parts of the tree are satisfied. So when Krishna is satisfied by the pleasure that Srimati Radharani gives him through her love and devotion, then that happiness of Krishna, everyone becomes full of joy and pleasure. It's hard to imagine anyone to be the source of pleasure, all pleasure, because here we don't encounter anyone who's the source of all pleasure. Everyone's inviting, come and enjoy, and we come and enjoy, and there may be some enjoyment, and then there's a lot of problems afterwards. But to imagine something pure bliss, pure pleasure, always joyful, that we have experienced. Of course, that's what we experience when we chant Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And our whole process is to become uncovered so we can actually experience Krishna's presence when we're chanting Hare Krishna and Srimati Radharani's presence. So how to do that? Krishna is saying, always think of me. Because when we put the iron in the fire, then the iron gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and eventually it becomes just like fire. So by steadily putting our mind upon Krishna, gradually all the other things that are clouding our minds are forgotten, and the only thing that remains is Krishna. Like I told the story before of Hiranyakashipu, which I'm sure everyone knows. At least I heard the story, I don't know where it came from. But it's a nice story anyhow. That everyone knows how Prahlada Maharaj became the son of Hiranyakashipu. We hear the philosophy that if you, according to your consciousness at the time of conception, that type of child will be born. So we wouldn't expect Hiranyakashipu to give birth to a Mahabhagava. Is that right? It wouldn't seem to us at the time of conception he was absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So then how did it happen? Hiranyakashipu was chanting 16 rounds one day. Just thought, what would it be like to chant 16 rounds? I think if one day I'll follow the regular principles. Chant 16 rounds, see what happens. Maybe someone has some prashada. Hey Kauli, do you have any prashada? I'm a little hungry. Now he went with his brother Hiranyaksha to meditate in order to defeat the demigods, to acquire mystic power. And the demigods became very disturbed. And Hiranyakashipu, he's going to go out and attain mystic power and defeat us. So we have to stop him. We have to put in obstacles for his meditation. So they went to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma said, don't worry about it, I got it. Narada Muni's here, Parvati Muni's here, they'll figure it out. So Narada Muni said, no problem, we'll take care of it. So Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha went to the gardens to meditate. They started to meditate, and these two little sparrows came along. Narada Muni and Parvati Muni. They transformed themselves into little sparrows, and at the top of their lungs they were shouting out, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha became very disturbed. Who are these crazy birds disturbing our meditation? So they took a stone and threw it at the birds. So the birds flew away. And then the Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha went back to the meditation. Sometime afterwards, these two little sparrows came again, started to scream out, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, cheep cheep, chirp chirp. So they completely angry, frustrated, bewildered, hearing the sound of Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So they picked up a stone and threw it at the birds, and they flew away. So all day long, this was going on. And Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha said, well, it was a bad day anyhow. I think we'll get back to our meditation tomorrow. So Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, they went back to the palace. His mind was completely bewildered, overwhelmed with his Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He couldn't get it out of his mind. Took some wine, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All he could see was two little birds screaming out. So they decided Hiranyakashipu decided, let me enjoy with my wife, I'll forget. So that night he was enjoying with his wife, and his mind, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So because of that, he was completely absorbed in thinking about Krishna. Prahlad Maharaj was born. So if Hiranyakashipu could do it, certainly we have a chance also. Of course, we can't expect Narada Muni, he's going to come with Parvati Muni, so we have to try ourselves a little bit more, have come in the association of devotees, and chant Hare Krishna, and gradually Krishna will appear within our mind if we practice steadily. And the more we're able to concentrate our minds upon Krishna spontaneously, then the more we'll be able to feel Krishna's presence. And Krishna is the nature of pleasure. Of course, we're not only want Krishna, we want his devotional energy there. In the spiritual pastimes, it's actually Srimati Radharani, for the devotees, is the center. Because she's the source of loving feelings, so it's Krishna. And Krishna is only revealed who Krishna really is when we're serving Srimati Radharani, when we're actually serving the loving feelings, so it's Krishna. Krishna reveals himself through those loving feelings. We can't understand how sweet Krishna is unless we understand how sweet are the loving feelings towards Krishna. And when we feel how sweet are the loving feelings towards Krishna, then we can feel how sweet our loving feelings understand how sweet Krishna is. Then we can understand how wonderful are Krishna's qualities. And we can also understand that our love for Krishna is actually more, or the love that Srimati Radharani has for Krishna is even more sweet than the love that Krishna has towards Srimati Radharani. So, if we practice devotional service and we purify it, then gradually we get the association of the associates of Srimati Radharani, and by their association we can gradually appreciate the loving feelings that Srimati Radharani has towards Krishna, and in those loving feelings displayed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, then we can actually experience the wonderful qualities that Krishna has and the wonderful love that Krishna has for his devotees. And that's our perfection of life. And we can do that simply by, without any offense and with full devotion, chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And at the same time, try to execute the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, become conscious of Krishna ourselves, and offer this opportunity to others to become themselves also conscious of Krishna. There's no question that we have something that's, well, we have Krishna, the love that Srimati Radharani has for Krishna, and Krishna, the reservoir of all pleasure. And everyone and every living entity can become unlimitedly satisfied and happy, enlightened, just as we distribute Radha and Krishna to them. So, through the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his representatives. So thank you. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. So now Arcita will enlighten us.
Thank you, Maharaj. I wasn't sure what to speak about, but now after hearing you, I think I have an answer.
Hare Krishna. Namaste. Govindananda Prabhu was reminding me that on my first visit to Croatia was 1998. Most of you were like, maybe not even born yet. But he reminded me that he remembered that I made halva. I didn't remember that. So it just goes to show you, we think we're in control of our lives and we know everything, but we do so many things that we ourselves don't remember. So we have to admit that we're not as together as we think we are. So Maharaj has set the tone of the evening by concentrating on the name Krishna and the benefits of chanting Krishna's name. So I selected a verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita to further, for more food for thought on that subject. So this is from the Adi Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 7. Text 70. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Gautame Srimati Prahladananda Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vicharine Nirvishesha Nirvana Pashata Krishnani Om Gnani Tamarandasya Gyananjana Smakaya Chakshupam Aspanshi Gurave Mancha Kopatul Vishal Vaishnavi Bhavan Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So many of you are familiar, I'm sure, with the Chaitanya Charitamrita. How many have read the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita? Most of you. So you remember Lord Chaitanya visiting Varanasi and coming in contact with this Prahladananda Saraswati and his thousands of disciples, sannyasi, Mayavadis. So they were criticizing him, and the devotees couldn't take it, so they asked Lord Chaitanya to do something introduction. He was respectful, but he was criticizing the Lord that, why are you chanting like a common person? Why don't you discuss Vedanta and meditate like we do? So this was Lord Chaitanya's answer. This again is chapter 7, text 7. Lord Chaitanya said, Prabhu kahe shuna shripad ihara karan guru more morkande ki korila shaksana. Srila Prabhupada translates. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied to Prahladananda Swami, quote, my dear sir, kindly hear the reason. My spiritual master considered me a fool, and therefore he chastised me. Srila Prabhupada wrote a brief purport. The mic stand is not in my face. Thank you. So, Srila Prabhupada's purport. When Prahladananda Swami inquired from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu why he neither studied Vedanta nor performed meditation, Lord Chaitanya presented himself as a number one fool in order to indicate that the present age, Kali Yuga, is an age of fools and rascals. Is he talking about us, maybe? The present age, Kali Yuga, is an age of fools and rascals, in which it is not possible to obtain perfection simply by reading Vedanta philosophy and meditating. The Shastras strongly recommend Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Kalona, In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. People in general in Kali Yuga are so fallen that it's not possible for them to obtain perfection simply by studying the Vedanta Sutra. One should therefore seriously take to the constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So this is our good fortune that we've come in contact with His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. And by his insistent preaching, we have been convinced to take to this chanting process. But one of the impetuses for continued chanting is to really relish and understand the good fortune that we have by having come in contact with chanting. However, we know that there has to be a quality to this chanting. Otherwise, there's this verse also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bahu Janma Koriyari Shabbadan Kirtan Tabu Tanda Pai Krishna Pari Premadan. If one is invested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy names for many births, he will not get the love of Godhead, which is the ultimate goal of this chanting. So, we all promise, those of us who are initiated, to try to avoid these 10 offenses. Do we take that seriously? Or do we, after we graduate from the Bhakti program, we don't even bother reciting them every day? If we don't recite them every day, there's pretty little chance that we're going to avoid them every day. So that's part of our sadhana, or should be part of our sadhana, to recite the list of 10 offenses every day so we remind ourselves of what we're trying to avoid. So tonight I just wanted to speak a little bit about the first one, because this one is very easy to creep into our consciousness if we're not very vigilant. And so the first offense is to blaspheme devotees who dedicated their lives to the propagation of the holy name of the Lord. I know many of you are not English as first language, so I'm not sure if you understand what the word blasphemy means. But to blaspheme someone, in the dictionary says to disrespect or swear at or curse God or a religion. And some dictionaries say that. Some others add, or godly people, or even godly or religious objects. If you say something, let's say you go to some other religious place and they're worshiping some stone or something, it may not make sense to you, but to them it's their part of their religion. So if you say something bad against it, it's not good. So why do we find it so difficult not to blaspheme others? Why? In our line, we're supposed to be so respectful that we respect even an ant. Understanding that in that ant body, there's an Atma, Jivatma, just like we are, Jivatmas in our body. And there's also the Paramatma, witnessing the exchange between you and that ant, or you and that spider, or you and that Prabhuji or Mataji, or whomever you're interacting with. So this is just very, very preliminary stage of Krishna consciousness, but it's essential. If we don't allow ourselves to realize that Krishna, in the form of the Paramatma, is witnessing every one of our interactions with other living beings, then we're not so inclined to avoid disrespecting or blaspheming other living beings, but to speak of those who have dedicated their lives to the propagation of the holy names, which is, as we've heard in Maharaj's lecture and in Lord Chaitanya's statement, it is the only way to get out of the miseries of material life in this age. Only way to chant the holy names of God. So if someone is taken to that chanting process, they may not yet be very cultured or knowledgeable, but just the fact that they have taken to the chanting of Hare Krishna is enough for us to start respecting them seriously. We may not want to have them as close friends, but at least from a distance, one should give respect. That's Rupa Goswami's recommendation, not mine. Krishneti Asikirtamana Sajrayate. If someone is chanting Hare Krishna, then we have to offer them respect, at least from a distance. We can't become, if they're not yet ready for direct personal interaction. And if they take initiation, then we should pay our obeisances to them. Again, you may not feel such attraction to this person or that, but that's neither here nor there. That's not what Krishna recommends in the Shastra. The Shastra recommends that you see every living being as spiritual, as a spark of the Supreme Lord, and treat them accordingly. Not that these are my friends and those are my enemies. That's the Maya. In the 16th chapter, Krishna says that. That's the Maya nature. He's my friend and this one is my enemy, and I've killed him. My other enemies will be killed. So to divide it like friends and enemies, now we will have differences of opinion. That is guaranteed. In every camp, there's differences of opinion. Just like now in America, Mr. Trump is the president, and there's those who were happy that he was elected. But does it mean that they agree on everything? No. Right now they're trying to change the tax laws, and some of his followers like what he's doing, and others don't like what he's doing. So even in the Trump following camp, they can't see eye to eye on everything. So even in our society, we're not necessarily going to see eye to eye on everything. But it's not necessary to blaspheme the person, to speak ill of somebody just because you don't see eye to eye on some particular issue. It's childish to do that. It means, again, not understanding that Krishna is witnessing your exchange with this person. And this person is trying to be a devotee, maybe not on your level, but if you're having inimical feelings towards that person, then maybe you're not so highly advanced as you think you are. You see? The advanced devotee, Vidyanaya Sapare Brahmane Gavihasini, Sini Chaimar Sapakecha Pandita Samadarshana. One who's actually a pandit, an advanced, thoughtful person, sees everyone equally. Not just in human society, but the elephant, the dog eater. The advanced person sees everyone equally. Sees beyond the obvious, the bodily situation. Human, what to speak of, not human, animal, anything. One has to respect the soul in whatever body or situation that soul is manifest. So it's extremely important because those of us who took initiation from Srila Prabhupada directly, like myself and Prahladananda Swami, we're dropping like flies every day. There will come a time very soon when this movement will be completely in your hands, which should not be a problem if everybody's really trying to be Krishna conscious, but there may be a problem if we stay in this camp mentality. I'm Jack Takamar's disciple, and you're so-and-so disciple. We're better than you because our guru was better than you. It's already going on. And does that mean that everybody in the JPS camp gets along? No. No, some of them want to do something else. So this is the only way, Prabhupada said, in which the International Society for Krishna Consciousness can be destroyed from within. This fighting spirit, which is prominent in the age of Kali. That's what Kali means. It's the age of quarrel. And Kali is very expert at injecting himself in any little crack that you leave open. Any little crack that you leave open. And generally speaking, it means that we're not chanting properly. If we chant the Hare Krishna mantra properly, and we start to taste the sweetness of Krishna through this chanting of his holy name, then we become less and less inclined. There's a verse in the 20th chapter of the Anjali, it appears just before the Shikshastra prayers, where it says that simply by chanting Hare Krishna, one can be relieved of all unwanted habits. In other words, all bad habits will go away if we chant sincerely the Hare Krishna. And then the flow of love for Krishna actually begins. That's what that verse says. So we have to take that seriously. Do we want to taste love of Krishna in this lifetime? Put your hand up. Do we already have the means to taste love of Krishna? Now we're convinced that chanting Hare Krishna is the means for tasting that love of Krishna. So then we only have to take it to the next level of chanting properly, avoiding the 10 offenses, beginning with not blaspheming, and not even allowing yourself to be party to blasphemy. Now it's very easy with social media. Somebody writes something blasphemous against some leader or even just some other ordinary devotee, and everybody else just drinks it up. They don't even bother, and this bothers me. People don't even bother to verify is it true or not. As soon as some nut somewhere, and I say this because I know quite a few of the nuts that are saying these things online. They're really crazy if you get to meet them in person. But they write something, Prabhu said this, or this said that, and that person said this, and they put it online, and people just take it like gospel. The gospel, when they read it, they don't take it as gospel. When some crazy person says something bad against somebody on Facebook or something, they drink it up. Yes. Yeah, we should get rid of it. Yeah. See, and so these people are just laughing before their computers. It's so easy nowadays to get other people to commit blasphemy. You just have to ask them to do it. You just type online, so-and-so did this or that, and hundreds of devotees will be running around saying, repeating it, and blaspheming the person, and wanting to get rid of the person. And the person who wrote it is just sitting behind his desk, just laughing. So don't be so eager to believe everything that you hear online. I'll give you a concrete example, just like the books. Everybody's saying, oh, they changed Prabhupada's books, and we're going to give you the unchanged pre-78 books, this particular camp. So I cornered them one day, because we had a meeting with them in the BBT in Los Angeles. I said, I joined, and I read those pre-78 books, and when I read your version of the pre-78 books, you made changes. You changed Planet of the Trees to picture book, and you changed cattle ranching to cow protection. The pre-78 book didn't have that. And they admitted, yes, we made a few changes that we thought were necessary. So then I said, then why are you going around telling people that you're giving them the unchanged pre-78 books? You're not, you're lying. You see, so you don't be so gullible that everything somebody says, you just drink it up and and you become the front man or the front woman for their cause. You're running around fighting their battle for them, and they're just sitting back laughing at you. Because you're committing blasphemy and getting in trouble, and just because they wrote something. So we have to be extremely careful. And I'll give you another concrete example. In Los Angeles, a very nice devotee, the disciple of Prahladananda Swami. She's from India originally, but she's been in America for a long time. And she's a professor of microbiology, teaches actually in the UC system. So a very knowledgeable person, very devoted devotee. And she likes to make presentations. As part of her scholarly approach. She likes to make a lot of these PowerPoint presentations. So a couple of years back at the Prabhupada festival that we have over the Memorial Day weekend every year, she made a presentation about Prabhupada. And Rameshwar Prabhu happened to be in the audience. So she had found some quote online where Prabhupada was discussing with Rameshwar and present that Prabhupada said, the most important activity is distributing my books. And the person who put the quote online changed it to one of the most important activities. They didn't like the fact that Prabhupada said it was the most important activity. So she, being a new devotee, she's, disciple of Prahladananda Swami, she just grabbed the quote, put it in her presentation, and then afterwards, Rameshwar didn't embarrass her during her presentation, and afterwards he said, where did you get that from? And she I got it from online. He said, well, I happened to be there, that's not what Prabhupada said. So nowadays, with the electronic media, it's so easy to change anything. You take something out of the folio, you change it to read the way you want it to read, put it online, and people don't even bother to think, to go back and check, is that really what it said? They just read something, okay, so please don't fall into that trap. If you read something online and you think it's something important, at least check with some authority or check with the books or check before you get all heated about it. Maybe it's not even true what they're saying. You see? Maybe it's not even true. So again, I'm stressing this point because we're leaving one after the other, and the day is coming real soon, but all of you second, third generation devotees, the movement will be placed in your hands. What will you do with it? Will you try to follow Prabhupada's instructions as he has given them? Or some watered down version, changed version? Again, I'm saying this very strongly because some people who are initiated by Prabhupada even, they have been because they're weak in their sadhana, not able to follow strictly what Prabhupada outlined. Prabhupada said that how he was the chanting is not meant just for our own gain, something slightly different from everybody. Motivation, competition to please the spiritual masters, please Krishna, that kind of motivation is good. Otherwise we become lazy. If we don't set some goal that we should reach as a group, as individuals, then we become lazy, we become complacent. I'm happy just to finish like 16 rounds every day, and I'm still following the principles, haven't fallen down, and everything is cool. Which is actually good if we can maintain that, but better than that is to push ourselves a little bit to accomplish something concrete. So, generally speaking, we know Prabhupada was very much pleased by the book reports. So if as a temple, you offered last year 100,000 books distributed, then this year Prabhupada would say double it. Or if you can't double it, at least increase it by 10%. That's achievable, right? Or, as I was preaching strongly in Slovenia, because they say they have only 2 million people in that country, and Prabhupada said if 1% of the population became Krishna conscious, the place would be like Vaikuntha. So in Slovenia, that would be 20,000 people chanting Hare Krishna seriously. What's the population of Croatia? 4 million. So if you can get 40,000 people chanting Hare Krishna every day as a regular daily function, this place would be like Vaikuntha. Would you like that?
Yes.
How many people do you think estimate now are chanting Hare Krishna? Even just occasionally. 1,000, 2,000? Alright, so you have a nice goal to achieve. Double that. If you think it's 1,000, then for next year, 2018, make it 2,000. And just keep doubling every year until you get to 40,000. Probably will be very pleased and the place will become like Vaikuntha. Anything else? Yes, Ishwar Puri.
We were talking about this road. I remember I was walking in forest in Africa, and on my path I saw a rope which suddenly started to move, and I noticed it was a snake, and finally I noticed it was a cobra. So, but I'm still here. And referring to this, we are told to follow whatever our spiritual master says, but it is also said we should not follow blindly. So can you also a little bit elaborate about this? And you were saying if spiritual masters tell us bring us this rope and this snake, we should follow.
Excellent question. Yes, one should not follow blindly. But that doesn't mean that mood is there for the rest of it. You see what I'm saying? When you first, let's say, we first came across Srila Prabhupada, I didn't know anything, maybe some others did. I didn't know anything. All I know is that the devotees were painting and banging and making a new vyasa, and I said, this person must be extremely important. But then when I finally, I had already been attracted by the philosophy that he wrote in his books, but I never met him personally. And then when I finally met Prabhupada and heard him speak, then I realized, yes, here's my spiritual master. You see? So once you get to the point where you accept this person as your spiritual master, you accept that this person is my personal guide, then that the doubt should go away. You see? If it doesn't, then you have to clear it out. This is actually an injunction. If you have any doubts in spiritual life, don't let them fester. Clear it out. Go to someone whose input you will respect, whose answers you will respect, and accept, and get the doubt cleared up. So once you get to that point, just like I said, if we accept Srila Prabhupada as a pure devotee of Krishna, then this doubt and questioning should go away. You don't question the pure devotee just like you wouldn't question Krishna. He's Krishna's pure representative, so whatever he says and directs us to do, we should do with full confidence that the result will be there. Now, for anyone else, if you're not sure, then we have Prabhupada's instructions and about what to do and what not to do. So if you've accepted somebody as your spiritual master, and sometimes they do go off, we know we experience that in our movement, then we have Prabhupada's books as a check and balance. This person has asked me to do such and such, which doesn't sound right, so I consult Prabhupada's books, and it doesn't sound right, I can consult some other senior devotees and then come to a conclusion. So that's always there, but I'm specifically emphasizing when we're dealing with Srila Prabhupada. If we've accepted him as a pure devotee, which all of us should, and if we have any doubts about his purity, clear it up by speaking to your guru, your GBC, whomever. But once you come to that point of saying, yes, I accept that Srila Prabhupada is a pure devotee, pure representative of Krishna, then we can't censor him. We can't say, why did he say this, and why did he say that, and I don't like why. Then who are you? That means you're bigger than Prabhupada. I can tell Prabhupada what he should have wrote, and why did he do it, We don't have that license. We don't have that license. Again, if you're dealing with me or one of Prabhupada's disciples, yes, you should be very careful. Possibility is there, this person may have gone up, we've seen it happen. But again, you have the reference books, Prabhupada's books, and you have other senior devotees that you can consult with if you're not sure about some follower of Prabhupada. But when you're dealing with Srila Prabhupada himself, there should be no doubt. At this point, if after 50 years of ISKCON, we still doubt Srila Prabhupada, then most likely the problem is with us, not with Srila Prabhupada. That's part.
Well, I think doubts are allowed, even with Srila Prabhupada, but we should doubt in the right mood. Not that I know everything, but we should be open to hear what the Prabhupada's blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. One should not only hear submissively, but one should get a clear understanding through submission, service, and inquiry. So we should be ready to follow the path of submission, service, and inquiry to actually get a clear understanding. And not that as soon as some doubt comes in, we should think that, this is not allowed. Doubting is a sign of intelligence also.
Yes, that's why I said, whenever doubt arises, it has to be dealt with. And discussion even is welcome. Just like when Prabhupada asked Harikesh to go and preach behind the Iron Curtain. He wanted him to go and preach, and he was coming from so many reasons why he couldn't, why he didn't want to. I won't have any association. Damn your association. I won't have anything to eat. Eat meat if you have to. Prabhupada wanted him to go. You see? So finally he surrendered, and we see what happened. Exploded. He went by, and he did, because he had the mercy of the spiritual master by following his instruction. So you can have your doubts and you can discuss those, but my point is once you accept that this person is my spiritual guide, a pure devotee of Krishna, then that doubt has to be cleared up. And if it persists, then I should know that the problem is with me, not with Prabhupada. You see? So you can discuss and discuss, but if you're not coming to some clear understanding, chant more purely, and then understanding will be revealed. You do more sincere service. Just like that story of the gentleman who went to see Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was a scholar and came in the door and he was introduced to Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. And he said, Guru Maharaj, I have some questions. And, I'm a little busy now, but my disciples will engage you and then later you can come and ask the question. So he was submissive, so they engaged him in polishing and beating brass. So he was polishing for hours. And then later on he came back in front of Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. He asked him, so what are your questions? He said, my questions have been cleared up. Just by doing service, by doing sincere service, he got the answers in his mind. So it's like that. Sometimes things may not be quite clear because of what level we're at. But if we chant more sincerely and do more sincere service, then gradually, we'll be illuminated from within. Because Krishna doesn't want to keep us in darkness. The Vedic injunction is tamasi ma jyotirnam. Come out of the darkness, go to the light. That's what Krishna wants. So if we're sincere about wanting to remove any doubts or any darkness in the heart, Krishna will help us. He wants us to remove that. We should have, you may have doubts in me or anybody, we can't have doubt in Krishna. Krishna clearly states, from within the heart, with the shining lamp of knowledge, I'll clear up the darkness of ignorance. But you have to be steadily devoted and sincere. That's what you have to bring to the table. And then Krishna's willing and ready to clear up everything. So again, if we find that we remain doubtful and remain, divided about what to do and what not to do, that means we're not practicing properly. Because if we're actually practicing, chanting nicely, following the principles nicely, engaged in some nice practical service for pushing on Krishna's movement, then Krishna will reveal. He doesn't want to keep us in darkness. He wants us all to come back to our normal state, which is full consciousness. Clarity, full clarity. That's what it means to be pure. Pure devotees have no doubt about Krishna and what Krishna wants them to do, because he's telling them at every moment. And they're agreeing to do it. There's no resistance. We have doubts because sometimes we're in and sometimes we're in. And that's because our attention is divided. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. If you have divided intelligence, you're allowing your intelligence to run here and there, then you can't have that firm determination to practice Bhakti Yoga. So to have that firm determination, one has to concentrate the mind, as Maharaj was saying, mind has to be concentrated on Krishna. Yes, Maharaj.
It seems we have to know the process by which doubts are cleared up. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, first of all, one has to humbly investigate. And one keeps on humbly investigating until one becomes enlightened. No one will know what to do. But if we simply have doubts, and we don't become humble about the fact that we're doubting, we don't know, if we actually think, well, I doubt, but I don't really have to humbly investigate and follow the process to get enlightened, then we blame it on Krishna, why we doubt, rather than actually blame it on ourselves.
Yeah, but Krishna's so kind. Even such a devotee will gradually make process, as long as we keep chanting. If we don't give up the process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna will, because Krishna is the supreme, pure, Nama Chintamani Krishna, Chaitanya Rasavika, Purna, Shuddha, Nitya Mukta, Abhinata, Nama Namina. Krishna is the supreme pure, and anything that comes in contact with Krishna, Krishna will not become contaminated. That thing will gradually become pure and pure and pure. So we come in with a pure consciousness. That's a given. But if we just keep, as much as possible, Krishna conscious, keep associating with devotees and taking prasadam and worshiping the deity and chanting Hare Krishna and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, living in a holy place, the temple, or making your home a temple, then these 5 potent processes will work. We just have to keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Once, actually I was with Arcita Swami, and somebody asked that question. He said, Maharaj, I've been chanting 16 hours or sometimes, but I don't really feel any different. And Maharaj said, increase the dose. So this is the answer, the chanting. And if we are firmly convinced of that, we'll have our ups and downs. This is why I'm testing us. We'll have our ups and downs. But if we're convinced that we're on a path back to Godhead, then don't allow Maya to knock you off. And the biggest knockout, like I said, is this infighting within the society. Fighting over trifles. Fighting over, yes, you may have your way of doing things and he has his way of doing things. Sometimes Prabhu said that. Sometimes even in the Vaishnava community, there are differences of opinion. Only time will tell. Only time. We can't always solve everything immediately. Sometimes only time will tell. Somebody wants to do it this way, or somebody else wants to do it that way. But our society runs on authority. And Prabhupada established that himself. Even while he was here, devotees would write to him or come to him and he would say, did you speak to the GBC? Did you speak to your temple president? Prabhupada wanted to establish that authority. So we should do that. We should always go through the chain of authority first. Don't just fly off and start doing your own thing. And if the difference of opinion remains, sometimes you may have to hold on to it eternally until you become GBC. Okay, anything else? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.